And so, I've already seen a few reporters, ones who were just cheering this days ago. This is a move that I see a lot of people making. I hate this. It's like cheer for this thing to happen so that when it does happen, I can turn around and talk about how bad it is. It's like, why not just state your position from the beginning? My position from the beginning is, you should be able to make up and sign more than 25. But now I see this, Saban's going to sign 50 guys a year, and this means they're going to do this. Not everything can be squeaky clean, and if you wanted it, you asked for it, you got it. And I don't think it's going to be that blatant to where you're kicking 20 guys off the team so you can sign 20 more.
No.
Now, there's going to be some people that do that to a limited extent. You might see more guys, getting nudged out the door. But I don't think it's going to be, you're not going to see 60 guys getting signed in classes and people just taking every little person they can, even if they know they're never going to see the field. There might be an instance of that we can point to ultimately, but I don't think that's going to be the general way that this goes.
I would say that the way that you could probably move around it would be preferred walk-ons with NIL, like, hey, come here, and then, kind of stash them for a little bit, guys that you may want that, but even then, like, look, Alabama's going to sign 50 guys. Well, they get who they want anyway. So
what changes? Of them?
What's going to change? Like Nick Saban has, and look, he has to recruit hard. I'm not saying he doesn't, but most of the time, all that the Alabama coaches have to do is say, "Hi, young man, are you interested in Alabama? We'd like to offer you a scholarship," and they're moving to the top of the queue. That's just how it is. So you got to work hard against the other ones, and then you got to work hard with all the other stuff outside of it. But this is good because it's gonna create, it'll get the rosters back in balance, and it will be good for high school recruiting, which I think was kind of in danger of taking a hit here, because a lot of coaches were saying, like, why? There's college basketball coaches, for example, that recruit exclusively from the portal now.
Yeah, there is. Who was Texas State? Jake Spavital was exclusively recruiting portal kids. Not exclusively, but basically like 95% of his class a year ago was portal kids. And so, I'm just going to go back to, first, the transfer window. I like that. I like that there's a set date. Even if you don't have to sign, technically, but you have to have your name in there. And it's kind of similar to what we had. It's just a little tweaked. But I'll just say this. I've been kind of hinting at this or just saying it outright a few times over the last few months, but be careful what you wish for. Everybody is clamoring for less rules and more player freedom and all that. Like, I'm with you. Like, players deserve to get paid. Players deserve NIL. Players deserve a lot of things. But when you're sitting there, like, demanding, and you don't think there's going to be any blowback in return, well, now, you love NIL, you love the transfer window, you love all that chaos. Well, I hope you love that a lot of high school kids aren't going to have very good opportunities. I hope you love that, some guys are going to get the dream scholarship and then find out they're not very ready or not quite what a coach imagined, and they're going to get that big nudge out the door. And you can say, like, yeah, that happens to some extent already, but now I'd expect it's going to happen far more regularly. And you're going to have guys who are just included in classes, potentially, who are just there so that another team doesn't have them. And does that help that player? Does that get them on the field any quicker? No. So, be careful with what you wish for, and be careful with what you're choosing. Be careful what you listen to and what you believe, because, there's going to be people abusing these new rules to where we have to tweak these again in 10 years. And, there's some calamity that's made over, somebody's usage of the transfer window and the signing classes and all of that. But, with every action, there's a reaction, and I'm interested to see what the one to these signing classes are, because I can already see some people that are getting a little bit nervous about what this means. And I don't think all this is great news for high school athletes in particular. So maybe this boosts even more transfers. We just see them even quicker now. I don't know, but this won't be the perfect solution. I'm just curious to see what fallout there does come from this. But at the same time, I do agree that tweaks needed to be made. The way that they were doing it up until recently was obviously not working to everybody's benefit. So maybe this pushes everybody more in a direction of it being more in line with what we all sort of think it should be. But I'm sure there will be some issues that arise.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things pushing all these issues. I mean, there's also, like, look, the fact that a coach can get fired so fast. So he's got to get in the transfer portal. He's got to do all these things. He's got to, like, in his mind of keeping a job, especially, if you're trying to fight your way back up from something, can you sit and wait on a lot of kids? that you used to be able to? No, you can't. You can't wait for some of them. At least in their mind, you can't. Sometimes maybe it would be better if you did. But with administrations and everybody pushing, everybody hears the thing like, oh, well, they're not going to pay us buyout. Well, they'll pay us buyout eventually if they get mad enough. They'll pay 2 buyouts in a row, 3 buyouts in a row. Kansas, is probably still overlapping in buyouts for some former coaches.
I'm sure they are.
So on paying them out over time. So again,
and their AD,
and their AD, all that stuff that they have to buy out. They're doing it. They'll figure out a way to get you in and get you fired if nobody's happy with you. So you've got to try to get better as fast as you can. So that means that, like you said, signing guys that may never play there and all that. And
here's the thing too, this is all great for the big schools.
Yeah.
Because if you're Texas and your recruiting class, offensive line wise, a few years ago sucked, as we outlined. Really not even offensive line wise. The entire class outside of like 5 players was pretty miss. I mean, it was a total miss. The whole O-line was wiped out basically. Everybody but like what's the kid always gets hurt? Receiver, running back.
Jordan Whittington.
Yeah, so like Whittington was one of them, and there was like 3 or 4 others that were all still on campus as of a week ago. So now, typically Texas would have to pay for that. They would pay for bad recruiting, for missing on guys, for taking medical risks, for whatever. Now, the transfer portal window has helped that a little bit, so you can go grab the Georgia offensive lineman or the Alabama wide receiver or whatever. But now with this oversigning, like you can really, pick up some guys and do some damage and keep them from others. And that will be interesting to see because there's going to be some negative, I think, that does come from that. But it's not going to be for the benefactors. It's going to be for probably a lot of the other smaller schools. So, part of the deal, I guess.
Look, in today's, 37th prospect on the roster is tomorrow's transfer portal guy who goes, oh, well, I guess I wasn't, I mean, again, if you're the 32nd or 33rd guy they have to bring in to fill out a roster, look, it's good for you, but the odds are also that you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to everybody else. It's just going to feed more into it. Now, one of the other things listed was the restrictions on